Hello everyone, it's Ari. This is gonna be the first episode of my podcast. What's up with that? Okay, also, please ignore my necklace. I swear, it never... Okay, there we go. We're fixing it. Anyways, good morning, guys. It's 10:53 right now, so it's probably not gonna be morning when you guys watch this, but yeah. So I ordered a microphone off Shein. I don't know how well it's gonna work, but it was $5. Let's see if it works. So right now I hope my headphones hold over until I get that microphone, because the microphone's gonna be so much better. Hopefully, because it's from Shein. Also, please don't cancel me for shopping from Shein. I just need a microphone that isn't like $200 because I'm not even at that level yet. If I start going, if you guys like my podcast, maybe I'll definitely buy a $200 microphone, but not now. Because I bet this video is only going to get like 30 views, and it's going to be my friends, me like sending the link. Like, guys, watch my thing. Anyways, I'm almost done with my iced coffee. Today, we're going to be talking about, this is going to start off very strong, but it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, especially with the passing of my great-grandmother. It's been in my head, is there any way to actually deal with death, to actually cope with death or the passing of a loved one? Is there like any actual way it's ever gonna get better mentally? And starting off, I believe it varies from person to person. I think some people can believe, yeah, it's gonna get better, which it will get better, but it's never gonna go away, in my opinion. That being said, there's other people who think, yeah, there is a way to cope with it, I don't know where I lie. I think I'm in the middle of, I don't know. This is how I feel in regards to my great-grandmother passing. It's, I want to be able to cope with it. I don't know how. I try to cope with it. I don't know if I'm doing anything right. I don't know. Now, I will say, I don't know if me making this video is coping. I think it is, because honestly, this thought has been in my mind since she has passed away, is if it's ever going to get better, if I'm ever going to be able to just be content with it, or not content, but like accept the fact that she's gone. I don't think I've even processed that she's gone, because she's been in my life for 16 years, since the second I was born, she was there in my life. So it's kind of challenging to literally process that she is gone right now, like that I can't just, go over to her house, run into her arms and hug her, or like, so every time I would have practice before I would leave her house, she would say, go kick ass. It's weird leaving for practice and not hearing that, not hearing go kick ass. It's something so small, but when you hear it repeatedly for years and it's from the person who you lost, it's like you want to hear that, Okay, I got my composure. Anyways, so I'm saying I don't know how to cope. That's what I'm trying to say, is I don't, like, in my opinion, there's just nothing for me that I know of right now, that my brain knows of, that's gonna make it go away. It's obviously never gonna go away, but I mean make it better, Obviously my family makes it better, but they're also dealing with the same thing I'm dealing with. Some of them even harder than me, because, my mom, that was her grandmother, so they had a lot more time together than I did with my great-grandmother. My great-grandfather, who was married to her, and then my grandmother, like, that was her daughter. So obviously, like, my family is also dealing with it hard. So I'm saying, I don't know. I think my way of coping is maybe making this video 3 months after her passing, because it's just been in my head 24/7. I don't know where to go with it. And the thing is, when someone passes away, it's hard to open up to someone about that, because it's like, what do you say? And what do you expect the person that you're opening up to say back to you? It's gonna go something like this. Oh, like, what's wrong? And you're gonna be like, oh, so-and-so I was really close to, they passed away. What is that person that you're opening up to supposed to say or do that's gonna help you? Obviously, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry, this and that. But I think it just varies from person to person about how you feel about opening up to others. I don't like opening up to people, just because I know everyone has their own individual issues. So I don't like laying my issues on top of their issues, and then them feeling, and then I feel like a burden when I open up, honestly, sometimes. So I just I don't know. I just don't like opening up because I also don't like being pitied. I don't like people being like, oh, I'm so sorry, like this and that. I'm so sorry that happened. Like, I don't like being pitied. I really don't. It makes me feel like weak in a way. Anyways, we're getting off track. I think my way of coping is maybe making this video. And I mean, I did, okay. Some of you guys know this if you know me in real life. I got a tattoo with her handwriting, I think 2 months after she passed. It's a card that she wrote for me. I think it was like a Christmas card or whatever. And in it, it said, "We love you very much." And she signed her name and my great-grandfather's name. And I got it. My tattoo guy is amazing. He literally did it spot on. That's her handwriting. It's not a different font. Like, that is her exact handwriting from the card. He did amazing. So, that being said, that was definitely one of my ways of coping, because it felt like I lost her, you know? Like, I want her, obviously she's always going to be in my heart, obviously, but I just wanted her to be, like, I wanted to feel more like she's with me forever. Like, because obviously she's in my heart, right? But I can't see that. I can't see that. I wanted something that I could see, so in my brain it would register that she's always with me. If I didn't get the tattoo, I would still know she's always with me, but it's more clear for me to understand things if it's presented in front of me, if I can look at it, if I can be reminded of it daily. And talking about reminders, I've realized some people, they don't like being reminded when their loved one passes away. You know, they don't, you know, it's just, they don't want to be reminded of it because it hurts them so much. Other people, the way they deal with it, the way they cope is through reminding themselves. And that's, I'm kind of in between that. And I'll tell you a story in a minute. I'm in between the I don't want to be reminded and I want to be reminded. So this is kind of like a little story. Also, please guys, ignore my hair. Like, I literally just woke up. So a couple nights ago, I was scrolling through my photos. It was late at night, whatever. Just got off work. Actually, I didn't just get off work, but like I got home from work at like 11-ish. It was like maybe 1 a.m.-ish, around there. And I, you know, I was just scrolling through my photos, just listening to music. And I wasn't looking for anything specific in my camera roll. I was just scrolling. And I come across a photo that I took of me and my great-grandmother when she was in the hospital. It was like if you have Snapchat, you know it's a dual camera. So the one of the cameras was facing me, the other one was facing her in the hospital bed, and she was just smiling, like literally just smiling. And I was smiling in the picture too, but the fact that she was smiling through all that pain. Anyways, I just, like, immediately, I just feel I find the picture, right, and I stop on it. Mind you, every time I get to this area on my or back then when her passing was more recent, anytime I would get to that part of my camera roll, I would immediately scroll past it because I didn't want to be reminded. However, now that I've had time to let it sink in that, you know, she's gone, I didn't scroll this time. But also, it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting to see that picture because I was just aimlessly scrolling through my camera roll. I stop on the picture. I instantly feel streams of tears coming down my face. Automatic. I didn't even process what the photo was before I felt tears just streaming down. And I was like, what is going, like, and then I processed that it's a photo of me and my great-grandmother. But before it even registered in my brain, I'm telling you, the nanosecond I saw that photo, I felt streams, uncontrollable, just falling down my face. And usually before, you know when you're about to start crying. Say someone's like being mean to you or like you're just stressed out. You feel a build up to that cry. You know when you're about to start crying. You can probably count to the second your first tear is gonna fall. You know, like you feel the build up. You know you're gonna start crying. No, it wasn't anything like that. I scrolled through the picture. The nanosecond I saw it, automatic streams, tears. I'm telling you, there was no build up to the cry. There was no, oh, I'm gonna cry. I didn't even realize I was crying until it processed in my head. And it's just like, because also I haven't looked at that photo in a while because it makes me upset, because in that photo, I didn't know that was gonna be like one of my last days with her, you know? I was very hopeful that she would get out of the hospital. Okay, I'm really trying not to cry, but, okay. I need iced coffee, wait. Okay. One of the things that, I don't know if it makes me feel comfort or if it hurts me or if it's a little bit of both. She was there the very first second I was born. obviously it's impossible for me to be there the very second she was born, but I was there up until the very second that she passed away. And I don't know if that's comforting to me or if that's hurtful or if it's both, because obviously I think it's a little bit of both. I think it just shows the amount of love a grandchild and a grandparent have for each other. You know, she was there for my very first moment of life, my very first breath of life, and I was there for her very last. And the funny thing is, or not, it's not funny, none of this is funny, but I don't know how to put it. Coincidence, here we go, coincidence, I'll say this. The big coincidence with the day that she passed away is I was supposed to go to the mall with my friend around 12. And my friend didn't wake up in time. She didn't wake up until like way later. So like we completely canceled that plan, right? Because my mom was about to head over to the hospital to go, you know, see my grandmother, my great grandmother. And my mom was like, hey, are you still going to the mall with your friend? Like, did she cancel that? I was like, she canceled. So, you know, I'll just go to the hospital with you, spend some time with Ali, my great grandmother. If I ever say Ali, that's my great grandmother. Just so that, you know, you guys know. So I was obviously very upset because I was like, bruh, like, I really wanted to hang out with this friend of mine. So I was like, I was kind of mad at her because I was like, come on, like, you knew the plans were at 12. You slept through it. Whatever. And then, honestly, her sleeping in became one of my greatest, how do I explain this? It was the reason I thanked her the most. It made me very thankful for this friend at the time that she slept in, because I ended up going to the hospital with my mom to visit my great grandmother, and that was the day she passed away. Had my friend slept in, I would not be there for her last breath. I would not, you know. I am like forever, even though me and this person aren't friends anymore, I'm forever thankful and grateful that she slept in, because without that, I wouldn't have been there for my great grandmother. And it's like, I can't even imagine, like, I was upset that she slept in or whatever, and then once I got to the hospital, I felt this feeling like, no, you need to be thankful that she slept in or whatnot. And then, you know, as the day progressed and I was at the hospital till late, I realized, like, hey, maybe everything does happen for a reason, because if my friend woke up on time, I would not be there, you know? And that's always so crazy to me. And that's like, everything in the world literally happens for a reason. You can't ever convince me otherwise. Because what do you mean? I had plans set for that very day, and we were gonna be out until like, I think 4-ish. My great grandmother passed away around 5 o'clock, but the whole process started around maybe 4, I wanna say. I would have missed it completely. I would have missed being there for her, you know? Like, I would never be able to forgive myself if I hadn't been there for her last breaths, as she was for my very first breaths. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm a very firm believer in everything happens for a reason. And that's why even when things don't go my way, a plan doesn't make it out of the group chat, or just anything. Maybe I'm trying to order something and they don't have it. I always try to think to myself, there's a reason that happened. There's a reason. There's like a reason protecting me as to why that thing didn't go my way. And it kind of it makes me feel better, because sometimes you get really bummed out when things don't go your way. But in order to, like, what's it called? In order to save your sanity, you have to be like, oh, it happened for a reason. And even if you guys are going through something and you're like, why did that happen to me? Why would that happen? And there really is no sign of everything happens for a reason. Trust me, you will eventually find the smallest sign as to why that happened to you. I can promise you that. Obviously, it's easier said than done, especially if it's something that really bummed you out, that really upset you. You know, maybe it is a passing. Maybe a loved one has passed, and that's why you're watching this video. I can tell you guys, it does get better. It's never gonna, a loved one passing, it's never gonna go away. You know, I was at work last night and I just couldn't stop thinking about my great grandmother, and that shift felt like forever because I just couldn't get my mind off of it. And that's when I said, let me make a video on it. Okay, I have another story for you guys in regards to the passing. So it was maybe like 2 weeks ago. I was just really missing my great grandmother. I miss her every day, but like that day specific, it was something just in me, like literally like stabbing me in the heart, like about her. Like I was just so upset. And I had work that day, so I was even more like, bro, I don't want to go to work if I'm in this poor of a mental state. Whatever, you know, I gotta get paid. So I just try to think about the money when I go to work, not the job. I do love my job though. I love my coworkers. They're great. They've held me down. That being said, the second I woke up that day, I was praying, like, please show me a sign that you're here with me. To my great grandmother, please, Ali, show me a sign that you're here, that you're with me. And that whole day, not a single sign, not a butterfly, not a ladybug, nothing, not a dream. I took a nap that day, not even a dream, nothing. I was like, at that point, I felt all loss of hope that she was actually with me. And nothing, like no sign whatsoever. Usually I get random signs throughout the day. I'll see a butterfly, I'll see a dove, like random stuff. That day, nothing. I'm telling you, not anything the whole day. And I kept going through the day begging, please show me a sign that you're here with me before I literally go insane. And nothing. I get to work, and I think I started that day at like 5. And I want to say it was late. It was dark outside. So maybe like 7ish. It was 7. This girl walks in, this older lady. She comes to my counter. I'm like, hey, you know what, can I get started for you? Da da da. Just, you know, customer service. And sorry. Whatever. I take her order, and at Panera, you have to put in a name for the order so that the people know who the food goes to. And I said, ma'am, like, what's a good name for your order? She said Arlene. And that's my great grandmother's name. We call her Ali as a nickname, but her name is Arlene. And when the woman said Arlene, I started like tearing up, and I just like gave her the biggest smile ever. And I was like, you have an amazing night. Like, I was like, enjoy your food, this and that. Like, I just started tearing up because I was begging for a sign since I woke up that morning. Nothing. I get to Panera. She says her name is Arlene. That name is not common. I have never met anyone else other than my great grandmother with that name until that night at Panera. And I remember telling my mom about this, and because I had been so frustrated the whole day that I hadn't got a sign, I was like, why haven't I gotten a sign? I'm begging for one. I'm sitting here begging for a sign. I don't beg for signs every day. That was the first day I literally prayed for a sign. And I was like, why the one day I get on my knees and pray to see a sign of my great grandmother, I see nothing. But every other day I see something. Why? And then that ended up being the biggest sign that I've ever seen since she's passed away. Ever. Yeah. Everything happens for a reason. Okay. Sorry, I got like off track with my personal story. But let's talk about the coping part. I would say me getting that tattoo is a part of me coping. Me making this video is a part of me coping. I would say even me praying for a sign is a part of me coping because I wanted to be reassured that she was actually there with me, you know? Like, more than physically, because I have her handwriting on me, but spiritually, you know, I want her with me. So the other day, I think it was maybe last week, 2 weeks ago, we went to put to do her burial. We put her ashes in her grave. Being at the grave, I felt at peace. Not at peace with the fact that she passed away, because I'll never accept it. I don't think I'll never be able to fully process that. But I can't explain it. Something in me felt okay. Not okay with her passing, but I think maybe I was starting to accept it more because it was getting more real. We are literally, you know, putting her ashes inside of the burial, inside of like the little grave. And I think that's when it started clicking to me more that she's gone. And her two best friends, one of them has passed away before I was even born, but her other best friend, her grave is literally right above hers. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's like amazing. But whatever. I remember You know, we brought flowers, everything. Once the rest of my family members kind of uncrowded from her grave, I got there and I sat crisscross, just, you know, crisscross. I sat, because her grave is like the one closest to the ground, because it's like on a wall. Hers is the closest to the ground. I just sat there crisscrossed, stared at the grave, you know, ran my fingers over like where it said her name and like the year she was born, the year she died, you know, and I just sat there and I talked to her. And the reason I didn't really go up, I was there. I mean, I was there the whole time when my family was crowding it and everything, but I wanted a moment alone with her, you know, more personal. I just sat there. It was just me and her. And I just sat there, I spoke to her. The second I started speaking, I felt like she could hear me, and I felt like even though I couldn't hear a response, I felt something in my heart that was like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, you know, I don't know if that makes any sense. And I know this is a very personal video to start off with for my series, but it's been on my mind 24/7. I have to get it out, you know? The reason I really just wanted to sit there and take a moment with her is because when she passed, I was the last one in the room with her. My great-grandfather left. He walked out with my grandmother and my mom. I remember just okay, give me a second. Sorry. Okay, let me get a drink of Oh, that's so good. I remember, obviously we stayed there for maybe like 10-ish minutes after she passed away. But, you know, then my great-grandfather and grandmother left. They were walking out. They weren't going to leave without us, but they just walked out the room. Obviously, everyone was very emotional. Very. I've never seen anybody in my family cry like that, and that hurt me even more. So it was just me left and my mom, and I think my mom walked out. I'm not sure if she was still in the room, actually, because I wasn't paying attention to who was in the room. I was just focused on me, myself, and I and my great-grandmother. I remember I just put my arms around her body, and I just laid my head on her chest like I used to do when I was a little kid. Okay, guys, wait. Anyways, when I was a little kid, she used to babysit me. I was always with my great-grandparents when I was little. And I would just like always lay my head on her chest when I was little. So that's exactly what I did. After she passed, and it was just me and her in the room from what I remember. Maybe my mom was in there too, but I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to who was in there, you know. I was so overwhelmed with the fact that I just watched my great-grandmother pass away. I just hugged her, put my arms around her, laid my head on her chest. I mumbled a couple words to her. I just closed my eyes, you know, just hugged her. And, you know, my mom was like, come on, like, you know, like, we gotta go. I didn't want to. I started, like, scream crying because I didn't want to leave, you know? And I remember... Okay, we're back. I remember before me and my mom walked out, or actually we were already out of the room, but before my mom closed the door, I kept trying to peek my head in to see her, you know, one last time, seeing her physical form. Yeah. So I don't even, honestly, I think coping is very different for many people. Some pick up a hobby. I know I started molding clay and like painting it and making like little like cute little clay things that I see on Pinterest. I don't do it as much anymore because work. I was thinking about getting back into it though, because honestly it's so fun. It's fun until you can't mold the shape that you need, and then you're like, come on. But I like it. It really helps me. So I think I might start doing it again, actually. That gets my mind off of like everything, because then I'm only focused on trying to make the correct shape out of clay, which can be challenging. Listening to music, but I've always listened to music ever since I was a little kid. And I think music has always gotten me through a lot in my life, because it's like you realize that other people feel the same way that you feel. So it's comforting, because you don't even have to talk about it. Someone just understands you based off of like, does that make sense? Like, you don't even have to talk to anyone to know that someone else understands the way you feel, because you're listening to a song and it's saying word for word, lyric for lyric, how you feel. So music has always been something that helps me cope. Let's see. There's not any specific songs. Actually, yes, there is. Some of my great grandmother's favorite songs that she used to sing to me when I was little have actually helped me cope. Yes, they remind me of her, which hurts, but it's in a more like happy hurt in a way. It's like, I'm so glad I got to experience that memory with my great grandmother. You know, I'm so happy that this is a memory I still have. Country Road, Take Me Home. She always used to sing that to me. So I've had that song on repeat. Movies have helped me cope too. Specifically movies that I've watched with her. When I was younger, we watched Dirty Dancing together. That movie, ever since I saw it with her that day, it has changed me. I love that movie so much. So I rewatched Dirty Dancing. Her and I love Grease. Like, we literally, I can't even name how many times we've watched Grease together. That movie I've been watching a lot more recently after she passed away. And I listen to the Grease soundtrack a lot because she knows every word from the movie. I know every word from the movie, like every lyric from every song in the movie. So I listen to the soundtrack on repeat sometimes. I watch the movies. A Dog's Purpose. I remember I watched that movie with her and my great grandfather. And she actually did watch that movie before she passed away in the hospital. So, you know, I've seen that a couple times now. What else? I'm trying to think what else. But there's definitely like songs that I correlate. Is that the right word? Songs, if that's not the right word, I'll just say this. Songs that I tie in to her. Like, does that even make sense? Songs that I see in her. Songs that her and I have memories with together. Those are the songs I listen to. Movies. You know, and it helps. It reminds you, but it helps. Some people don't like to be reminded, and that's where it can get a little difficult to cope. Or at least for me, because everything I do to cope pretty much reminds me of her. You know, the tattoo, the movies, the songs, whatever. But if you're the type of person who doesn't like being reminded, I would say do some clay. You know, play with some clay, maybe read, not a book about death, because this is one of the hardest things for me, is we were reading Kite Runner at the time in school, at the time my great grandmother passed away. That whole book is about death. That whole book is about death and being sad. And that book put me into so much more of a terrible mental state because my great grandmother just passed away, and every single day at school in English class I had to be reminded of it, because in the book, I swear, every chapter like 2 people die in that book. I swear, or something traumatic happens. So I was even in I stopped paying attention to the book halfway through because I was like, I'm not reading this. You know, it keeps bringing me back, and it keeps bringing me back to when I was at my great grandmother's side on the hospital bed, you know. So I stopped paying attention to the book in class. Thank God I passed English, like with a good grade too, but I just stopped focusing on the book because it was like, it's constantly reminding me. When she first passed away, I didn't want to be reminded of it. Now that it's been a while, I want to be reminded of it. And now this book that I have to read for summer, it's called Tuesdays with Maury. I've never read it, but I looked it up and it said something about, it's about death. Why? I don't want to read that now. That's why I haven't even picked up the book. I haven't even picked it up to read the first page, because it's something about reading that makes me even more upset about my great grandmother's passing. So, you know, maybe read a happy book that has nothing with death, because that book, The Kite Runner, set me into so much, such worse of a mental, is that such worse? Wait. Set me into a terrible mental state. I was already bad and in shambles. I didn't go to school for like 3 days after my great grandmother passed away. I was already in a terrible mental state when she passed away, but having that book to read every single day for like 4 months of school, every single English class, I lost it. I couldn't. I literally wouldn't even take the book out of my backpack sometimes when we were reading in class, because I was like, I can't hear it on an audiobook. I can't hear a teacher reading. I can't hear a student reading. I can't even read the words on the page for myself without feeling like I'm gonna literally start sobbing. That being said, if you don't want to be reminded of it, go on a walk, work out, listen to music, nap. Napping is something that has helped me a lot, but sometimes naps can decrease or decline your mental health, in my opinion, just from how I've dealt with them. Sometimes you really need a nap, and take a nap. But let's see. Yeah, pick up a hobby. Hobbies are one of the main things that are gonna help you with anything. They're gonna cure your boredom. They're gonna give you something cool to talk about. Character development. You're gonna learn something new. You know, you're gonna keep your mind off of things and you're gonna be hyper fixated on your new hobby, whatever. Maybe they can even make you money sometimes. Like, I don't know. My mom has been fascinated with making little like bracelets, like the ones with the beads and you put them through the little string. She's been fascinated with that and I love that for her. Like, and honestly, it made me so happy to see that she's picking up a hobby because she's such a hardworking woman. I like, oh my gosh. And I don't know, it was just kind of cute because it's like usually like little kids do that. So to see the little kid come out in my mom, who's hardworking, you know, it was just so cute and I love that. And mom, if you're watching this, I love you. You're amazing. I mean, hanging out with friends too has been a big thing for me. But the only thing that hurts me after hanging out with friends is, you know, for those 5 hours you're with them, you're laughing, you're giggling, whatever, you're having a great time. The second they leave, the second you leave, I feel this. I don't know about you guys, but the second I'm done hanging out with my friends and I leave and there's no laughter, it's radio silence, I feel so like lonely. Like I feel so alone after, because I'm like, wait, just 2 seconds ago I was over here laughing, giggling, surrounded with people who I care so much about, and now I'm back in my bed, quiet, listening to music, whatever. But definitely hanging out with friends, especially the right friends. I'm gonna make an episode. This might be, I don't know, because I think I want 2 of my friends to be on this episode that I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna make an episode about friendships, healthy friendships, how you know when to cut them off, how you know when to distance yourself, whatever. And I want 2 of my best friends to star on that episode because then again, they are my best friends. But yeah, make sure you surround yourself with the right people, especially if you're going through, you know, someone passing away in your life or literally anything. Like you just want to have a good base, a good community to surround yourself around. That being said, I think that wraps up the video. So I'm sorry if I got emotional, but thank you guys for listening if you've even made it this far. And if there's anyone out there who is going through, you know, dealing with the passing of a loved one, just know my heart goes out to you. You are in my prayers. Thank you guys for watching. And next, I'm trying to figure out when I should start coming out with these podcast episodes. Like I'm trying to find a select day, you know, so that like the algorithm like sees it and they see that I'm consistent with posting on X day. So I don't know, I think, what's today? Today's Monday and I'm trying to upload this by today. So maybe I'll start once I get more settled down with this podcast, I'll start letting you guys know, hey, these are the days when it's gonna drop. Anyways, that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it this far, even if you didn't make it this far, thank you for at least clicking on the video. Yeah, so next episode will be out soon.